So I gotta say, when I first saw the phrase occupational spaces, I thought, what does that even mean? Is it about careers? Offices? But then I remembered something from my own life. After my mom had her stroke, her recovery space, where she did OT, was so carefully set up. Like every detail in that room had a purpose. It wasn't just a space, it was part of her healing.
That's actually a perfect example, Tim. Occupational spaces are the environments in which we live, work, and carry out our daily activities. They shape how we adapt to challenges and engage with our routines. The study I'm referencing found that during the COVID-19 pandemic, students, when confined to specific spaces like their homes, had to rework their routines dramatically. It wasn't just about where they were, but about how those spaces influence their sense of being and mental health.
Right, and I think I remember reading something about students basically transforming their homes into classrooms, gyms, even social hubs. That had to mess with their sense of balance.
Exactly. For some, the bedroom turned into a multi-purpose space: school, work, exercise, and rest. But there's this concept called being in place, which Rawls talked about. It's about how a physical space interacts with a person's sense of identity and well-being. When confined, students had to negotiate this intimate relationship with their environments. Some adapted creatively, while others struggled, which often impacted their mental health.
That sounds like a lot to deal with. I mean, one quote stuck out to me. Someone felt cooped up and like dead inside on cloudy days. That just hit me. Isn't it wild that something as simple as sunlight, or the lack of it, can make us feel so off?
Very much so, Tim, and that's why context matters so much. The study noted how students who creatively reimagine their spaces, like setting up gardens or finding new uses for home equipment, often found it easier to adapt. Even the way they performed their routines then shaped their emotions and mental resilience. There's a wonderful idea in occupational therapy that our environments are not static. They're dynamic and transactional. They influence us and we influence them.
So, kind of like that old saying, change your space, change your mind. It's funny, I didn't expect to connect my mom's recovery room to this idea, but now it's making so much sense. Her OT didn't just teach her exercises, they made the space part of her healing process.
Absolutely. And that's one of the takeaways here. The students' experiences during the pandemic showed us how deeply tied their sense of being was to their environments. The disruptions to place ballet or the choreography of everyday life pushed them out of balance. But it also showed how adaptive we can be when we rethink and repurpose our spaces.
That's fascinating. I mean, I never thought about space having that kind of power. It almost makes me wonder. But this whole being in place idea, being pushed out of balance but finding ways to adapt during the pandemic, TT's kind of like when my routine gets thrown off. And honestly, when that happens, I feel pretty lost. Isn't routine just as important as the space itself?
Absolutely. Routines are like the scaffolding that supports our sense of self. When that scaffolding is disrupted, it can leave us feeling, as you said, lost. During the pandemic, many students reported struggling to adapt to new routines or the lack of them, and that imbalance often led to stress and feelings of disconnection from their identity.
So, wait, are you saying losing a routine can actually, mess with how you see yourself? That's kind of heavy.
Yes, and it's deeply connected to mental health. When routines are upended, people often lose markers of their daily accomplishments, like finishing a project or following a workout schedule. It's not just about what you do, but how what you do reinforces who you are. A lot of students who are new to university or progressing along their studies might feel unbalanced until they can establish routines that work for them.
Man, that makes so much sense. I read in the study how some students felt way more stressed if they spent all day in one room. It's like your space gets stale, and that staleness seeps into your head, right?
Exactly. When the same room becomes your classroom, your gym, and your social hub, there's no clear separation between roles, and that can create tension. But it's also worth highlighting the flip side. Some students found ways to use that disruption to reshape their identity. For example, one student discovered a newfound love for cooking and baking.
Oh, I gotta hear this one. What happened?
Well, she mentioned that with fewer time constraints, she started experimenting in the kitchen, a place she hadn't used much before. At first, it was just to pass time, but over weeks, it became a creative outlet and a way to de stress. She found joy in making meals, even describing cooking as a way to connect with family because they shared dinner together every night. That sense of connection and accomplishment actually became a big part of her identity during that time.
That's so cool. I mean, who would have thought baking cookies or making dinner could make you feel more like yourself? It's kind of inspiring.
It is. It shows how resilient we are, even in challenging times. And it reinforces the idea that routines, whether they're familiar or new, are more than just habits. They're pathways to feeling balanced and grounded, and they directly shape how we see ourselves.
Wow, you've got me really thinking now, like, what routines have I been leaning on? But what about the people side of all this? Like, when routines are disrupted, how does that affect how we connect with others? Doesn't it hit even harder when you're stuck at home?
It absolutely does, Tim. One major finding from the study was how the students' sense of belonging depended on their social interactions. During early lockdowns, many struggled with isolation, missing the daily face to face connections they had with friends, classmates, or coworkers. But what's impressive is how people adapted. Students created new ways to stay socially connected, even virtually.
Like Zoom happy hours or binge watching Netflix together online?
Exactly, or group text threads, sharing memes, and even old fashioned phone calls. It wasn't about perfectly replacing in person interactions, but reimagining what connection could look like in the moment. These adaptations helped counter feelings of isolation and even gave students something to look forward to. That interaction, no matter how small, played a huge role in their mental health.
Yeah, because feeling connected isn't just nice to have, it's got to be like essential for staying sane. I mean, I remember reading how some students leaned on their pets for that. Cats, dogs, those little monsters can really pull you through, huh?
Oh, entirely. Pets became a source of comfort and belonging for many students. One student said her cats helped her feel grounded at the end of a stressful day, like they were little anchors in all the chaos. And others talked about sharing their daily routines with pets, feeding them, walking them. Those small actions created consistency and a sense of connection, even during isolation.
I love that. It's kind of sweet how something so simple can make such a big difference. I mean, your day could be falling apart, but your dog still needs a walk or your cat's waiting for dinner. It's like built-in purpose, right?
Exactly. These small but meaningful interactions help students maintain a sense of being needed, which is so crucial to well being. And beyond pets, some students discovered a creative side through new hobbies, which became another way to adapt socially. For example, that student who started baking found out it wasn't just about de stressing, it became her way of connecting with family. Cooking dinner together every night turned into a shared experience that strengthened their bond.
That's so interesting. I think a lot of people might relate to that, like creativity popping up as a survival tool almost. It's not about just passing time, it's about finding meaning in what you're doing. That's powerful stuff.
It is, and it shows how resilient we can be. Even in the face of massive changes, we find ways to adapt and thrive. Whether it's learning a new skill, connecting virtually, or just cuddling with a pet, these creative adaptations highlight the importance of supportive environments, both physical and emotional. Looking ahead, I think we can all learn something from these experiences about creating environments that foster connection, even after disruptions.
Totally agree. And honestly, hearing all this has me thinking about my own spaces and routines. It's kind of humbling, realizing how much your surroundings and connections shape who you are.
That's a great point, Tim. And I hope it's something our audience takes away too, that building supportive, adaptable environments isn't just about surviving tough times. It's about lifting each other up, creating belonging, and fostering resilience, no matter what life throws at us.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, I think we'll wrap it up here. This has been a fascinating conversation, and I hope it's been as eye-opening for our listeners as it has for me. Until next time, everyone, take care and be kind to yourselves.
Thanks for tuning in. Take care.